All right, we'll call this meeting of County City Schools with number 53 to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Do you have any comments, questions, modifications?
Nothing for me.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
I will move to approve the agenda.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to delegations. Mr. Peterson?
Yeah, just real quick, I want to bring to the board's attention, Bruce is here tonight, and one of the things that we have talked about quite a bit is, and when Mr. Davison has been before the board, is trying to change the culture of the middle school. And I thought, since he showed up tonight, that it was very much worth a mention that Mr. Davison had almost 200 kids at his first middle school social last Friday. To say that's a significant number would be an understatement, because that's well over half of the school. And I had a number of parent volunteers. So I think this was a very tangible step and tangible statement about what he's trying to do, and congratulations to Mr. Davison and the kids for being there on the first dance.
Great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, thank you. Sharing that. Appreciate that. All right, moving on to the proposed consent agenda. Do we have any comments or questions here?
Me,
Penalty.
I'll motion to approve the proposed consent agenda.
All right, all in favor?
I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. All right. That will move on to public comments. Do you have any public comments this evening? Great. All right. Having a little spiel here to read super quick. You're welcome to come up. Okay. The board welcomes input from the community. Please follow the public comment procedure by stating your name at the podium when recognized by the chair. Each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak. You'll hear a little chime off to your right. When that is up, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items not on the agenda. However, the board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board does not allow complaints against any individual staff member or student in open session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. In other words, please no student or employee names.
Okay,
Good.
and I'll try to talk fast because it's a little long. Good evening. My name is Kaylee Nelson, a former president of the Kiona Benton Elementary PTO, and more importantly, a mother to 5 children in the Kaibi School District. My family moved to Benton City October 11th, 2020. Within those 5 years, we have had to battle with the school district for 3 of our children and are unbelievably going through it again with our 5th child. That makes 4 out of 5 of our children being negatively impacted by the Kiona Benton School District. This includes 2 of our children being physically assaulted, which resulted in calling the sheriff's office and a visit to the emergency room. Both children have since transferred out of this school district. Our youngest son was diagnosed with autism in the spring of 23. We were on a year-long wait list with Children's Village of Yakima starting in 22. And during that time, we had an incredibly challenging time receiving any kind of support from the school. It took months to get him on an IEP, and that process didn't start moving until I involved PAVE and eventually OSPI. At the time, his teacher would make statements about assignments. He wouldn't do that she called no-brainers, because you must not have a brain if you cannot do them. And he was in 1st grade. Unfortunately, much of that year was a negative experience for our son, and we call it the lost year of his education. Eventually, things improved with PAVE support and OSPI's enforcement, and a wonderful teacher the following year who believed in him. Fast forward to today, I've been actively trying to get our youngest daughter enrolled in the TK program for 9 months. She is in need of speech therapy for a delay in a stutter, which I have discussed with her doctor and vocalized to the school staff verbally and via email. We have jumped through every hoop required of us, including applying for ECAP to rule out low-income qualification. While we should not have qualified due to our income, we somehow did and were put on the wait list in June of 25. The individual I was speaking with moved on to a new employer over the summer, and her replacement was exceedingly difficult to get a hold of. Eventually, after reaching out to school leadership and program administrators, I finally got a brief email stating at the moment our spots are full. She's on the wait list. This is several weeks after I called and reached out, including leaving voicemails. No, I sent an email with everything they needed on September 3rd, a full 13 days before they would finally respond. I then reached out to school leadership, who advised TK was full and Wendy, our daughter, would be waitlisted again. Note, I started reaching out, to ensure Wendy would have an opportunity in March of 25. While this is frustrating, I started looking at alternate options. Unfortunately, part-time options would be more than $1,000 a month, and all the local programs are full or waitlisted. This became increasingly frustrating as I learned the very limited preschool programs are issuing spots based on preference of those in power. I know at least one TK family did not have to follow the requirements of applying for ECAP to be ruled out for income and moved to TK because their parent is a district employee. The other learned who the teacher was and sent an email requesting a spot in the program, which was granted. This was advised to me directly from those children's parents as their way to beat the system. Neither of these children received special services, to my understanding. I've also been, sorry.
You're
Very good.
Um,
Do you have more? Do you want to send us an email?
I can send this all in an email.
Yeah.
Okay,
Our email address on the website.
okay, I'll draft this up tonight and send it.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know it's long.
No, that's all right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sure. We'll follow up on that. All right, do we have any electronic?
Yes, we do. All right, this comes to us from Heidi Rogers. Why did you cut busing from fall sports when you were still collecting levy funds? Will you be making cuts in the district office if the levy fails? We have never had two financial directors, and the superintendent secretary is a position created several years ago when there was a healthy reserve fund. Those are two positions that will save levy dollars. Thank you for your time, Heidi Rogers.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow up on that. Any others?
Nope.
All right. With that, we'll move on to unfinished business, policy 3241, student discipline revision, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you. Yeah, for the, I think the technical term is umpteenth time, policy 3241 has changed again. And this is simply a revision as required under state law. There were some legislative changes which resulted in OSPI changing recommendations specifically under long-term suspension and expulsion. So the revised language came out and we just need to adopt the revisions very simply.
All right. Any comments, questions on that?
What was changed? Typically, those are highlighted if there was a change, and I did not go back and compare them, I probably could have, but I didn't.
The change was in the past, if a long-term suspension or an expulsion happened, for instance, on the second to last day of school, those suspensions / expulsions would actually carry over to the next term. They are not allowed to carry over automatically to the next term. They can now only be carried over with the written recommendation of the superintendent. And then they can be.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably not worth all the time that OSBI spent researching it, but
Definitely curious over scenarios.
expulsions in this state have been eroded over the years. The only thing that carries any mandatory discipline longer than a current term is bringing a firearm to school. that carries a mandatory 1 calendar year regardless of any other situation.
That makes sense.
So basically this was elimination of any possibility that someone down the food chain has to be at superintendent level to actually extend those types of long-term suspensions.
Sorry, remind me, are we adopting that this evening or?
Yes, this is a policy revision that's already been previously adopted.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the revision for policy 3241 student discipline.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now on to policy 2409, world language mastery based credit revision, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Skipper. We first discussed this about 4 meetings ago. And that is, we currently have policy 2409, which is credit-based competency, or competency-based credit, excuse me. It is inclusive of 5 different subject areas in the current policy that we have. WASDA, under its recommended policies, has separated each one of those out by subject area. Meaning 2409 is specific to world language mastery-based credit. If you go to the WASDA site, you'll then see there's a 2410 for ELA, 2411 for math, 2412 for science. So what we're doing is the first attempt to get those in the proper order. We're going to change 2409. We're currently looking at one of the sticking points on the rest of the subject areas. The reason that we have them under credit-based or competency-based credits is that we do grant credit for passing the high school proficiency exam if you achieved a 3 or a 4. The board might remember that last spring we had a discussion because OSP actually changed their practice for about the last 15 years and dropped the passing score to 2. So now what I'm trying to figure out is if we then roll those into separate content policies, are we going to drop the score for credit when it hasn't been done? And does that actually impact potentially transcripts of kids that have already graduated or my worst case scenario, didn't graduate? So I'm trying to get some legal clarification on that before we move forward with any others. But for tonight, simply changing the language in 2409 to match the WASDA policy as it reads.
Okay. Any comments on that? Questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion on policy 2409.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, with that, we'll move on to new business, 2025-2026 basic education certification, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you very much. This is simply to inform the board that the State Board of Education did approve our basic ed certification and sent us a very nice certificate. If you'd like to put one on your fridge, let me know and we'll print that out. However, this is something that we complete every year to ensure that we're meeting all of the necessary requirements that OSPI and the state put in place. So we're good for another year. Looking forward to the 26-27 submission.
Good to hear. And with that, we'll move on to item 8B, transportation discussion.
Yeah, thank you. This one is not as short to the point. So as the board are aware, we have lost now our second bus driver. And some of that stems, in fact, a majority of it stems from the fact that when we reduced our levy expenditures this year due to our partial collection, that means that our bus drivers were then cut from extracurricular trips. And while those are not guaranteed by contract, our bus drivers do get the first shot at being able to drive those, so when they don't exist, they've taken a bit of a hit, to the number of hours that are available. And so what I wanted to make sure the board is aware, as there has been some discussion on social media and other things, we've combined routes to lower the number of regular bus drivers that are needed to fulfill all the routes. We combined 4 routes into 2 longer routes, but they are, and I cannot remember the term for it. They're double drops. It'd be the best way to put it, meaning that you basically half of the route drop kids as they go by the school the first time, then complete the route, pick up the rest of the kids, bring them in. That's resulted in some of our folks, the example that Reed gave me today was several folks out Badger Canyon area. Instead of being a 6:30 or a 6:25 pickup, they're now a 6:10 pickup. And while we never like to do that in the middle of the school year, we also don't like to lose drivers, quite frankly. Good news is that one more driver met with Reed today to sign up to be a driver. So we'll be in the process of getting that person the necessary training. And then I'll remind the board that when we talked about this at the last meeting, that there are also some district employees, including myself, who are getting our CDLs to serve as substitute bus drivers if needed. And Teddy, I think you were gone at the time we had this discussion, but the cost for current employees to get the CDL is almost nothing, because we don't have to, we don't get paid the training wage as the training drivers would. So we actually only have to eat the cost of the test at the end, and a little bit of extra time for Billy to take us out and about, make sure that we can drive the big yellow bus. So that is a good thing, but the better thing is the fact that we still have people coming in who want to be drivers, and that we're not going to see a reduction in the number of kids served. So I completely understand anyone's concern about getting on the bus earlier than normal. But unfortunately, we have to make some allowances to make sure they still run. So Reed and our secretary Dawn talked to a number of parents over the course of the last few days to let them know, and also to judge whether or not there were some other changes we could make to try and lessen the blow.
Is this route revision, does that be permanent or temporary, or like when might that revert?
As soon as we can get permanent bus drivers, which we're budgeted for, that we can assign to those routes, we'll bring them back.
So that would be one more that's interested at the moment, and then maybe one more after that, and then ideally if there's other people who want to.
Yes, and of course, and we've said this publicly meetings before, if and when the levy passes, the extracurricular routes resume the next day. So that means some of our people who might temporarily have left may come back, or that may entice others to sign up real quick. So we're going to know the answer to that conundrum fairly soon, and then we'll be able to come to the next board meeting and make a final decision regarding athletics and transportation for the rest of the school year.
All right. Any other comments on transportation?
Bus drivers are saints.
Yes, they are.
What I have to say.
All right, seeing no other comments, we'll move on to item 8C, minutes from 9/22/25, seeking approval. I will be abstaining from this minutes as I was absent, but I will entertain a motion for that.
I will move to approve it for 9/22/25.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes from 9:22 are approved. We'll now move on to minutes from 10:13. And I'll request that Teddy abstain. With that, I'll entertain a motion for the minutes from 10:13.
I will motion to approve the minutes from 10:13.
I'll take a minute.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, with that, we'll move on to board comments. I'll start reminding everyone, please turn in your ballot for the election, which obviously we have a levy out there and, welcome input from the community on all sides. So we want to get everyone's voices. So just hope everyone reads through all the materials out there on both sides and makes up your mind however you see fit. So, but hope we have a great turnout.
most importantly, just to vote.
I wasn't gonna say that, but
I mean, I think it's important.
well, that's basically what I said.
I know, but just in general.
All right, any other board comments? Yeah, with that, we'll move on to superintendent's report.
Thank you. Just a couple heads up on a few items. We have senior night tomorrow night at the high school for both our soccer program and our volleyball program. And then on Thursday night, we have a migrant family engagement night at the high school commons. So this is part of our engagement program for our migrant students and families. We'll be having some STEM presentations. A couple professors from Columbia Basic College will be here doing some STEM demonstrations for parents because we had just sent last week a bunch of our migrant students to CBC to see some of those things, and they decided they wanted to come out and show our parents, and they are both bilingual, so they'll be doing these presentations in Spanish. Second to last item, the ESD sent me an email today, and they are looking for any community member interested in serving on the ESD 123 Regional Boundary Committee. Now, I've been here 8 years and had no idea that there was such a thing called a Regional Boundary Committee. And then I came to the conclusion I have a very good idea why that boundary committee is getting a little front and center, and that's because of the Prescott situation that's currently going on, because it's very likely that committee will have to work and will have to redraw boundaries alongside the districts that are doing so. Anyway, meetings are infrequent, typically once per year, unless a boundary proposal or a dispute is active, and therein lies the rub. I think you're going to have an active boundary issue here in about 6 months.
So are they seeking people from across the district, or are they needing one from our school district?
So they are needing one person from District 7, which is Benton City, the Patterson School District, and Findlay School District. So one person from those three.
Will we be promoting that online?
I will be more than happy to. We will put it right up there with the 2 school board openings that we have.
Yeah.
That the ESD's been helping us out with. So yes, we'll get that up there. The ESD is putting it out there, but Superintendent McCullough sent an email directly to myself, Superintendent Long, and Superintendent West from Patterson and Findlay, just to get us to get it out there.
All right.
And that's all I have this evening.
Yeah, with that, we'll move to executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, section 1G, performance of a public employee not to exceed 30 minutes with no business to follow, and we will be adjourned. Thank you all.